So, you want to main Albedo. Cool. Do you like rocks? Do you like flowers? Do you like alchemy? Do you like best boys? And do you like spamming the shit out of your abilities? Well then, Albedo, the Chalk Prince, is for you. Also, only a small portion of you guys are actually subscribed to this channel, so if you enjoy videos like this, consider subscribing since it's free and you can always unsubscribe whenever you want. Other than that though, let's continue. Because I do want to make that official video quick.
So that was a f***ing lie.
Alrighty, so story time. If you didn't know, Albedo is actually not from Mondstadt. His origins are unknown, however, there are some clues that indicates Albedo is actually from Canaria. You know, where Kay is from. Reason being, any characters that are associated with that country has a Primogem symbol visible in their design. Kaya, for example, has a star-shaped eye. Albedo has a star-shaped tattoo or something on his neck. And I know it sounds far-fetched, but it's just a theory that's on the Genshin wiki. You are free to believe whatever you want. Anyways, Albedo was raised by his master named Eine. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name right. She was cold, but she taught Albedo alchemy, and that's why he's so fun to play in the game, so there you go. One day, his master disappeared, leaving a recommendation letter for Alice, who's a friend of Eine and also the mother of Kleine. Due to this, Albedo was told to treat Kleine like his own blood sister, which is why he has to take care of her mess sometimes. As you all know, Albedo's title is either I don't know how to pronounce this.
Kreideprinz.
Yeah, that, or Chalk Prince. They actually mean the same thing. Basically, the alchemy Albedo performs is actually originating from Canaria, the Kaya country, and his alchemy is focused on the concept of creation, thus called the art of chemia. During his youth, his master told him that chalk is the spotless soil and was used to make primordial man, which is how his phrase, "from soil was birthed chalk," came to be. So basically, in Genshin, everything is made out of chalk, or at least the chalk is the basis of all life in Teyvat, whatever, man, fuck. So let's look at his abilities. His first ability is called Falling Elevators. He uses alchemy to create an elevator, which also deals AoE geo damage to your enemies. Now I'm calling this ability an elevator not because it can lift you up. This man is literally dropping elevators left and right continuously because the cooldown on the skill is 4 seconds, and that's pretty quick. Also, within this massive AoE field, he deals bonus blossom damage which occurs every 2 seconds. This extra geo damage can be applied to the enemy using different units, but the damage will always scale off of Albedo's own defense. So this skill is an amazing damage spammer and an awesome supportive ability as well. Moving on to his Underburst, Chalk Spam. Thanks to the low energy cost for his Underburst, this ability will be available quite often. You'll look at this animation so often to the point where you just say some edgy Japanese phrase when you use it every time. Maybe it's just me. Now the damage on this ability is actually pretty decent. Obviously he is a Geo unit, so you might not expect much from him, but even if the damage isn't amazingly high like Child's Nuke, it doesn't really matter because you'll be spamming this ability too often to even care. Now, another cool thing about this ability is that if you have your elevator activated before your chalk spam, the chalk spam is going to create 7 extra blossom damage to any enemy within the AoE, so it's incredibly useful to have against the mob of enemies. However, the blossom damage from your elemental burst is not scaled from your defense, unlike your E, which kind of makes Albedo a little bit complicated to build sometimes, but we'll get to that later. Moving on to his passive talents, his first one increases your blossom damage from your elevator, your E, by 25% if you're doing damage against an enemy with less than 50% HP. So basically, he's spraying salt on their wounds and attacking. Second passive increases your party members' elemental mastery by 125 for 10 seconds when you activate your chalk spam. This ability basically tells you to spam your chalk. His third one is kinda meh, never happened to me yet, but gives you a chance for a material refund when you upgrade your ascension materials in the alchemy lab or whatever it's called. Probably never gonna happen to you as well. So now for his constellation, this is gonna take forever. First one gives you more energy, second one makes you do more damage with your elevator blossom damage, third one makes you do more damage, Fourth one makes you do more damage with your slam. Fifth one makes you do more damage. Sixth one makes your team do more damage if they have a shield. Yeah, that took forever. So now let's look at his artifacts. You can build Albedo two ways, burst DPS or support. The choice is yours. It's just a matter of how you want to use him. Burst DPS is pretty simple. Go for crit rate or crit damage, geo damage, and then attack. You can go for defense, but personally I think that's more for support DPS, mainly because defense only affects his blossom damage from his elevator, and you basically sacrifice a little bit of everything else just for that if you do put in defense. But it's not a major difference, so if you do prefer that, then that is fine. You still can use defense for his DPS if you really want. Now for the support. Defense is probably your best choice because as a support, you're most likely going to take advantage of his blossom damage from the elevator AoE, since your extra blossom damage will scale off of Albedo's defense. So it doesn't matter if you switch or not, you'll deal the same amount of blossom damage, but make sure to have some crit if you want to focus on that to maximize your support damage. So for his Psets, if you are a beginner and trying to build attack, go for berserker sets. If you are trying to build support, then go for defender set. For endgame, you'll probably fiddle with the Petra and the Noblesse set. If you are going for the burst damage, probably the 2-piece set from Petra and the 2-piece set from Noblesse. The Geo bonus damage is too valuable for you to get the 4-piece set for Noblesse, but then again, the 4-piece set for Petra isn't going to help you with Albedo's damage either. So there you go for burst damage, go for the 2-piece Petra and the 2-piece Noblesse. For support, 4-piece is probably fine for both, because the 4-piece Noblesse will increase your team's attack, and the 4-piece Petra is going to increase your elemental damage by 35%, which honestly is pretty good for support. For weapons, you probably want to go with energy recharge, but at the end of the day, it does depend on your artifacts, I guess. Personally, I am using the free weapon from the event. I find it quite useful for Albedo for damage and energy recharge. I heard one of the 3-star swords was really good for Albedo, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend you to invest in a 3-star weapon if you are a free-to-play, because resources are very valuable in this game. I heavily recommend you to go for recharge to spam your abilities. Attack is fine, crit is fine, but at this time, I think the free weapon is a go-to because you get a 1.5 XP boost for upgrading this weapon. And honestly, aside from the 5 stars, this weapon is pretty good. Now for teams, I think anything goes because geo elements will always have the same result when they react, so you might want to just focus on the elemental resonance. If you want some attack, then 2 pyro is fine. If you want to just use another geo unit, which I honestly don't think is a must for Albedo, but it's still fine because that's technically what I use, and I do find it quite useful because of the geo elemental resonance, which gives me a attack 50% within the shield. Now, since Albedo's Elemental Burst increases your team's Elemental Mastery at level 70, you might want to bring 2 different elements at least to take advantage of that as well. Personally, I recommend units that can easily apply elements and use skills as often as possible, notably Fischl. So, how do you play Albedo? Simple. Just spam your abilities. Thanks to his low cooldown on his E, you can get energy pretty often, and since energy is shared within the team, you might be able to spam your other character's abilities for Albedo, and Albedo is going to use that to get more energy from your team, and your team's going to use that energy to get more energy for yeah, it's an infinite loop basically. I only played Albedo for a couple of days, but if I do give you some tips, make sure to use your elevator before your chalk spam because the bonus blossom damage will not activate if the AoE field isn't there. Also, try to take advantage of the fact that he's a geo unit and try to make some shields to protect yourselves. Personally, this is the team that I'm running. I know it's not so free to play, but I just want to use Zhongli more, and boy oh boy, Albedo and Zhongli are best friends for spamming abilities so often with their Geo AoE skills, since Albedo's elevator is a Geo construct and it resonates with Zhongli's Z, which makes it easier for me to get shields. The other 2 are really optional. I brought Xinyan for extra physical damage and shields. She's pretty handy in Dragon Spine thanks to her pyro element. Diona also for shields and heal, and her cryo shield is really helpful against cryo enemies, and there's tons of them in Dragon Spine. Very defensive team here. They usually always use their elemental burst, and I really haven't had this much fun until I played Albedo. So I definitely recommend you guys to use him if you have him, instead of being gloomy about him being Geo. Because honestly, Geo units are kind of my favorite right now, thanks to Albedo. But that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Other than that, bye-bye.